Welcome to another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. My name is Paul Delegro, your host today, and I'm fired up for this episode. I have Angie Smith, who is I guess you're still a technology salesperson. I guess once a technology salesperson, always a technology salesperson. But she's made some great changes in her life, and I guess the theme of this one is from technology to Tuscany. And I'm jealous, Angie. So to give the listeners out there kind of an overview, technology salesman like me, and you decide to make some changes in your life, some big changes in your life. So kind of, I don't want to give it all away. I'd rather have you tell the story, but tell me a little bit about, what was the deciding factor to kind of quit your job and buy a house in Italy?
Yeah. Well, Paul, thank you for having me. And I love sharing the story with people. So, I had spent probably about the last 15 years or so in technology, in various, backgrounds as a district manager. I was an AE for a bit. And then I most recently was a regional sales director. And in April of last year, I just made a decision that, I was about to hit a milestone birthday. Yeah.
20, 30? What?
Yes. We'll go with that.
Okay,
but,
cool.
I just was thinking, I had a dream that I wanted to live in Italy and have a place there. I was thinking maybe when I retire. And I just was tired of putting that on the back burner. And I just decided, I was financially in a good place where I could make the leap to do it, and just decided to go pursue my dream and buy a property over there. And so that's what I did last year.
Yeah. So was there one, what was the day you woke up and said, I'm doing it? What was the epiphany you had that said, I'm getting off my rear end and I'm doing this?
So it was interesting. In January of last year, I had this feeling like, okay, is it time for me to do something different, to really shake things up? I'd gotten really comfortable and was successful in what I was doing previously, but I woke up and I knew that it was time to to do something different. Anyway, I, made the decision okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and do this and do it in, March. I'm going to give myself till March to figure things out. And so that's what I did. And I put my notice in at the end of March to leave my job with really, at that time, no real plan B. I hadn't even had the house in Italy on my radar. But I went ahead and put in my notice and worked through the end of April. And I made a decision, picked a date, and decided to just do it.
So I love what you're doing. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons I like it is too many people, and I see this, I'm come from the Northeast, and a natural migration for people from, New York, Boston is to move to Florida. But I think people move there too late. And I tell people, are you going to wait till you're 75 to move? Because now it's too late. Why? If you do go when you're 50 or 40, whatever that number is, you can enjoy yourself a lot more when you don't have a walker and a wheelchair. Yeah. And I'm joking, of course, but I think you know what I mean by this.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, one of the big factors for me doing this and doing it when I did it was I lost my brother suddenly in 2021.
Okay, sorry to hear that.
Yeah, thank you. But he, I don't know, we had talked about, dreams and things that we wanted to do in our life. And it was really just a moment for me to think about, okay, we're not promised tomorrow. And I am healthy today. I'm in a situation where I can go do this today. Like you said, I'm not, when you're 70, it's hard to get around sometimes for some people. Who knows what 70 is going to, if I'm even going to make it to 70. So that was a big deciding factor. Is okay, time is still clicking. It's still going by, and I was ready to just go all in and see what happens.
I love it. So, you hand in your resignation. Now you're unemployed. You have a house in the Dallas area, Fort Worth area. What's the next steps? How did you do this? I'm curious about this.
Yeah. So as far as, finding my house in Italy, it kind of just landed in my lap. And so, I found a property that I loved and actually made an offer on it sight unseen. I basically,
Unbelievable. Thank God for technology, right?
yes,
Because, I mean, 20, 30 years ago, you could have never done that.
yeah,
You could have, I
exactly.
guess, but
So, I got very lucky finding the house. At the time, my daughter was in London. So after I made the offer and it was accepted, she did go down and look at the property for me, and we just did everything over video. But I had decided when I found that house that I had already been contemplating leaving or moving from Texas. Summers here are really, really hot. And so I was like, okay,
yep.
I might want to move someplace else anyways. So I put my house up for sale here in Fort Worth, and literally sold it. And the equity that I had in my house, I made enough to pay for my house in Italy. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, so it just kind of worked out that way.
So why? So to people that watch my podcast know I'm a pretty proud Italian American, and I still have some relatives over there. But that is one of my goals too. I am this close to getting my Italian citizenship, and I want to do exactly what you're doing. And you've kind of fired me up about doing this. But why Tuscany? I mean, obviously there's a lot of beautiful places in Italy, and actually Tuscany is one of the areas I would love to buy something in. It's just a wine country, just beautiful up there. So why Tuscany?
Um, I've always been drawn to it. So I've made multiple trips to Italy over the years, the past probably 10 or 15 years. The first time I went, I was immediately just drawn to Tuscany specifically, like the Florence area, which is where my house is. Um, and it's really just the beauty of Tuscany. It really is like what you would see in a
Yeah,
movie or in pictures. The landscape there is amazing. The food's
yeah,
amazing.
it really is. Yeah,
And just there, I really like the art and the architecture and things like that. But I would say probably any area in Italy would have been great. It just happened to
yeah,
be that I found this house in an area that I liked that gets pretty good weather year round. I don't have to worry about snow. I don't have to worry about it getting super super hot because I'm in the mountains.
yep.
Um, and so it was kind of a combination of all those factors why I picked Tuscany.
Yeah, so you raise a good point about the weather there. That's kind of was one of my reasonings of thinking of looking in that area because we live in
Mhm.
Texas with smoking hot in the summertime. I don't want to go to another warm climate. I'd rather go to a little cooler climate
Yeah.
and enjoy that all year round than, you have a smoking hot summer.
Yes, yeah, for sure. Good thing is where I'm at, it's an hour and a half to the beach. If I wanted to go to the beach in the summertime, I can do that. But there's no more, here in the DFW areas, like we get summers like 110. I think we even had records of like 115, and that is just the older I get, the
Yeah.
more I don't like that.
Yeah, no, it's just, so having grown up in a cold climate, I don't know if I'd want to live in a winter climate again with snow and slush and all that stuff. But this is the other end of the scale, right? This is where summers are 4 months of just beat down. But they're like any air. I tell people there's good and bad, there's positive and negatives, no matter where you live.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Texas is a great place to live. It's a great state, but it's got some drawbacks, and that's one of them: the heat and no beaches, right?
Right, right. And I'll say,
So
Tuscany, it's not perfect either, right? I mean, I think people have this vision of what living in Italy's like, and I can tell you firsthand, it is not all roses by any means, but every place has got their pros and cons, and but for me, I think there were more pros for me to figure out
yeah.
going to Italy, and so that's why I pursued that.
So tell me a little bit about the town that you bought your house in and whereabouts geographic. I know you said in the Florence area, but tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so my house is located in the mountains. It's a little bit outside of a big city. So I'm about 40 minutes from Florence, in between Florence and Arezzo. If anybody knows where Arezzo is, but it's right off of the A1 that takes you from, the northern part of Italy down to Rome. Actually, I think it goes past Rome, but it's in a really great spot for people that want to for me personally, experience and get to Florence and Arezzo. I love antiquing and that kind of thing. So there's great shopping and restaurants in both of those areas. And then I'm also close to the wine country, like Chianti Wine Trail, and
Sure.
all of that is really close. So it was a central point for me where I could, experience those things, but also get a really small town village experience. The town
Yep.
that I actually live in is called Laura Chifina, and it is a hidden gem. It's a place that I love, and the people there are fantastic. So very, very friendly.
So so obviously, how's it been going? You've been there a couple times, I guess, since you've purchased a
Mm-hmm.
home and getting to know the community and your neighbors. How's that going?
Oh my gosh, it's been great. I mean, much better than I expected. I'll have to tell you a funny story. So when I bought my house, and this was the last trip that I went on this was back in November. I decided at the last minute I wanted to get to know my neighbors. I wanted them to know who is this American that's moved into our, little village. So I decided on a Thursday to put together a meet and greet with everybody that's in my village. And went and made friends with the guy that runs the cafe bar down at the end of my street. And he put up a flyer that said, come meet Angela. She's the new person that has bought the house in the neighborhood. And she's going to do a meet and greet on Saturday from 5 to 7. And so on that Saturday, literally 2 days later, I had put out, like a charcuterie board, and we had wine and all of that. I kid you not, I opened my door when my doorbell rang, and I had a line of people waiting outside to come into my house to meet me. It was the craziest thing, and there were almost 60 people that showed up at my house.
Wow. So how about the language barrier? I mean, I'm sure there's a few people that speak English, but in a small town, they probably don't all speak English. I can pretty much guarantee you that.
Yes. So it's funny because a lot of people in my commune, they're older. They're like 50, 60 and older. There's up to 100. And so none of them speak any English. There were some younger people that
Right.
spoke English. But what was funny is we ended up communicating through Google Translate, which everybody does if you're going to a country and you don't know the language.
Yep.
So I know a little bit of Italian, so I could, greet them, and I could tell them, hey, my name is Angie, and kind of my story at a very basic level. But I was very lucky to have some friends of mine that I've made over the years in Italy that are bilingual, and they speak Italian and English. And so I had put together something that I wanted to share with everybody that came to my house, and wrote it out in English. And they basically told people that came to my house, what I wanted to say to them in Italian. And so I kind of had a translator there with me to go through that.
Sure. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so. What do you do? Like, what do you do with the house when you're not living there? Like, who watches it for? This is the stuff that I worry about. Like, okay, you got a property, half a world away, and maintenance has to be done, upkeep has to be done. What do you do here?
Yeah, so I got very lucky. I made it a point, when I bought this house over there, I didn't want to just be one of those that flies in, stays at my house, and leaves. I really wanted to be a part of the community. And I got really lucky meeting one of my neighbors that is actually taking care of my olive grove. So I've got quite a bit of land that's attached to my house that has 31 olive trees, lots of fruit trees and stuff on it.
Nice.
And he takes care of that. He checks on my house, over the winter. I was like, just make sure my pipes don't freeze, make sure, everything's
Sure.
good. So he randomly will go in there once a week, every couple of weeks, and check on things. And he's going to be the one that's going to take care of my property, like the gardening stuff, while I'm gone this summer. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So and I love what you're doing because, like, why go to Italy if you're just going to sit on the veranda and drink wine all day, right? It's about people to me.
Yes.
And I would love to do something similar to what you're doing in the sense that I don't, city would be nice because you get to, but I would like a small town feel. I think. I say that now, but I don't know. I mean, where you just, get to meet your neighbors, go for a coffee in the morning. I can practice, work on my Italian, and just enjoy the countryside and the people. That's what it's all about, I think.
Yes. I mean, that's been my favorite thing. And, there's a little cafe bakery place down by my house. And when I go in there, it's the funniest thing because they're like, ciao, Angela from Texas. So, they don't speak any English, but just the fact that I've kind of made friends there. And I've been working a little bit on my Italian since I've been back in Texas over the holidays. And so I'm excited to go share my little phrases I've learned with them
Sure.
when I get back.
Yeah, the only advice I give you is learn the grammar, and the vocabulary will come as you practice. But you've got to know, at least for I studied it for years, and been to Italy several times, and I think if you understand the grammar, how to conjugate verbs, future tense, past tense, right, where the direct objects go, indirect objects, so it'll become a lot easier for you because you'll build in the vocabulary. That's my biggest weakness is vocabulary because I don't go there enough and I forget words.
Yeah.
But I understand the language pretty well, so that gives me a leg up when I go. I can pick it up pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, what are you using to learn Italian?
So, there's like Babbel and the apps you can get on your phone. So there's a couple that I use there, but really the thing that's been most helpful, and I found it on TikTok of all things. It's a program called Italian Matters, and so I did a boot camp with her recently that kind of just teaches you basic phrases, things you need to know as a beginner, how to use verbs and things like that. So I've been using that, and one of the things that has helped me is writing phrases or words on objects in my house and putting post-it notes everywhere, and just kind of going, okay, that's a door, this is a mirror, this is a TV, that kind of thing.
It's a good idea, actually. I never would have thought of that.
Yeah, so that's been super helpful. Just kind of, at least when as I'm still trying to work on learning how to say it, the right way or pronounce it the right way, at least when I see it, I know what it means.
Right.
So that's been really, really helpful.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I feel like a parent asking this, but what are you going to do to make money?
So I get that question a lot.
Because you're young, right? It's not like you're 65, 70 years old and you're retirement and you have Social Security. You're still a young woman with, you're not Social Security age yet, I don't think. I'm just
glad I'm young. Wow.
That's it. So what's the plan? I mean, going forward, you obviously have to generate revenue now and to sustain your lifestyle. How's that gonna happen?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting since I've made this move, bought the house, and all of that. A lot of things have just kind of organically come my way, but I've got some really great things in the pipe. Obviously, when I bought my house, until I figure out how to stay there long term and work through the visa thing, I'm going to be renting my house out. So when I left my job last year, one of the things that I was kind of dabbling in was real estate investing. And so I'm looking to gain some more properties over there in Italy and rent out my house as an Airbnb when I'm not there. So that's one of the streams of income that I'm looking at.
Yep.
But I'm also
Very
planning retreats. A lot of women have wanted to go over there and see Italy and be with somebody that knows the area, knows the territory and what to do. And so I'm going to be scheduling those coming up in the fall and the spring. And then aside from that, it's just been, it's primarily going to be the investing piece and doing the retreats and helping really other investors that I know here. I've got a huge network of real estate investors that I work with here in the States that have got an interest now of investing in Italy. So I'm helping them get connected. I'm kind of like the connector in the middle, getting them connected with properties in Italy. So,
well, I may have to take you up on that, by the way.
Happy to help.
I think we're going to start. Yeah, you've got me motivated to say, what am I waiting for? You always think, oh, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. Well, next year comes and, you're in a walker and a wheelchair and you don't want to do it anymore. So I think no time like the present.
I would agree. Yeah.
So any regrets so far? That's always something anything that you say, man, I shouldn't have done this, or I think I know the answer to that, but I figured I have to ask anyway.
I don't. No regrets.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's taken an adjustment. Anybody that's in the tech industry knows, it was not easy to walk away from a job making very, very good money, and just not have a plan B initially and try to build out something that you've been dreaming about. Definitely was not easy. That's, I would say, but was it a regret? Absolutely not. I've shown myself that I can get in uncomfortable situations and figure things out, especially being in a foreign country. I mean, even just getting furniture delivered and that kind of thing. maybe I had a moment when I had a couch delivered at my house. I shared that on LinkedIn. It was a funny story now looking at it.
I think I saw that post. They had to bring it up and hoist it through the window.
Well, that was one of the
Was that?
challenges, but I had a couch that was delivered and they dropped it at the end of my street because they couldn't get
Oh,
it up to my
nice.
house. I about had a
Oh,
meltdown for
wow.
that, but yeah, but you figure it out. You ask people for help, which is not something I'm really great at. I'm learning how to ask people for help because I'm in a foreign country. I don't know people. I don't know the language, and I have to have people help me. So,
Yeah. It sounds like you've made a few strategic friends there.
mhm,
You got to have that kind of infrastructure, and I'm sure you can help them at times too, right?
yeah,
It's a give and
yeah.
take, and so I think you've done that. That would be my number one concern initially, like you, just okay, making friends in the neighborhood. You say can't be there, have something delivered. Who can be there to help me, and who you can go to for problems. You
Yeah.
know.
That's one thing that's beautiful about Italians, and I'm sure there's other places across the world. But I can speak to Italy, and it's amazing how many people truly want to help you. I mean, here I am,
Yeah.
this American coming into a neighborhood that is primarily all of the same family. They're all related for the most part. Um,
Yeah.
and they come and check on me. When I got moved in, they were like, again through Google Translate, they were asking me if I needed help getting my water set up, my electricity set up. Did I have firewood for the winter? They genuinely
Nice.
wanted to help me. It was amazing.
So, and I'm gonna take a guess on this. Since you don't have any mortgages over there, I bet it's a lot less expensive to live too.
For sure. Yeah. Case in point, I just got my electric bill so that like their utilities and gas and everything, they bill in 3 months increments at a time. And I got my first bill for the last 3 months and it was €200 for everything for 3 months.
Wow. Yeah.
And obviously food and things like that. Gas is pretty expensive over there. It's much more expensive than here, but as far as the other things and just general buying groceries and that kind of thing, it is way less expensive for quality food.
Yeah, and the taxes aren't over there on real estate is a lot different than here, correct?
Yes, yeah. So my taxes on my house were like a few hundred euros. It was hardly anything. So
Now, is that an annual fee or is that just a one-time sales tax
it
type
was a
fee?
one-time sales tax. There is going to be some fees and things that I pay, taxes that I'll pay, very small amounts going forward. But on my house, it was not very much on the purchase of my house. One of the things that intimidated me about it because is I always heard that taxes were very not great in Italy, but that's really if they're taxing your income. So obviously, I'm not a resident. I don't work there or anything like that. So I'm not taxed at that level over there.
Yeah.
But as far as my house and everything, it is way less than what I was even spending on my house here in Texas.
So what happens if you start like an online business or something like that? Where do you pay taxes? If you're living there,
Hmm. If
would you
I
pay taxes in Italy or do you, because you'll still probably have a residence here in the US, correct?
Yes, yeah. So my primary residence is going to be here in Texas for now until I'm hoping to buy another house here, probably out of state. But I'll still be paying taxes, U.S. taxes. Um, but honestly, I'm kind of working with someone right now to work through what that's going to look like if
Okay.
not if but when I get this online business going. But I know that they have a visa that I can apply for if I have an online business. But yeah, I haven't gotten to that point to figure out how that's going to be taxed and what that's going to look like yet.
Yeah, worry about that later.
Everything is figure outable. There's a book that I read last year when I left my job, and it is true. Everything is figure outable. So
Yeah, you've done a good job. I commend you
thank you.
because what you did, not many people would do. I hope you realize that.
Well, and I hope to inspire more people to do it. It's not, it's, I tell people all the time, it's like, do the thing that you should be doing, because I felt a calling. I knew years ago I should be doing this or making a career shift. And you just have to make that first step and do the homework, do the work. It hasn't been easy. Some stuff has been not fun to figure out. but I figured it out, and I want people to know that they can, you can do it too, and it's not as difficult as people may think.
Cool. So when's the next trip over to Italy?
I leave March 12th, so I'm counting down the days.
So you're doing the 90 days in the U.S., 90 days in
Yes.
Italy.
Yeah.
Awesome. What's the plan this trip? Anything, any projects, what do you have going on for the 90 days that you're going to be there in March?
Yeah, so I still got to finish getting my house furnished. So I got a big portion of that done when I was there this past fall, but I still got to get some more furniture, a couple things I want to get done, replace a couple of the windows, and just get it really ready to Airbnb this summer. So that's probably my biggest thing. And then, like I had said, I've got connections over there now that have helped me, find properties that I can share with investors here in the state, or just anybody even wanting, you want a vacation home or something over there, just properties that I can share. So I'm meeting with a bunch of real estate agents while I'm there this spring. And,
oh, nice.
They're going to take me around to some properties so I can share them with people. And, if somebody wants to do what I did, hopefully they'll find a house that they love like I was able to.
Yeah, well, I wish you the best. This is such an inspirational story because, and you know what I'm going to say, is that being in technology sales is good and it's bad, right? I mean, good, it's very profitable. We do tend to make a little bit of money doing this, but it's a grind, right? I mean, it's a very competitive, it's a daily grind industry, and to just walk away from that as, I'm sure there's somewhat of a breath of fresh air for you.
It is, yeah. It's I feel like a weight has kind of been lifted off, and I don't want that to come across in a negative way because I enjoyed so much about what I did for years, and I made great money. And I worked with some really great people and companies, but it got to the point where I felt like I was living and working hard for someone else's dream, and I'm like, I can put this much energy into doing my own thing. And we'll see where it goes. Who knows?
Yeah. I think as long as you can sustain for a while, I think you can start uncovering opportunities to make money and live the life that you want to live.
Yeah. That's the ultimate goal. So
well, Angie, if someone wanted to get in touch with you to either, wanting to invest in Italy and with all your connections, how would they do that?
My personal email right now is angie.smith0825@gmail. I also have a business email, which is angie@oliveandpinehomesolutions.com. Working on a website that will start sharing, I'll start sharing properties and everything there. But that's probably the best way, or here on LinkedIn, if this is where you're finding the message, feel free to send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I can get with you there.
Cool. Well, any final words of wisdom to the folks out there that are listening to this with their eyes wide open, saying, "Oh my God, I want to do this"? What advice and counsel would you give them?
So I would say, I definitely, this kind of sounds like a big dream, and I just maybe was kind of, flighty with making some of the decisions. But I will advise people, if you're wanting to do something like this, make some adjustments. I live a very frugal, even to this day. I don't care if I was a millionaire, I would still live very frugal. And years ago, I put myself in a situation where I would live off my salary, and I was socking away 70% of my commission. And so I just adjusted my lifestyle for that because I knew ultimately I wanted to do something in Italy and buy a place. So I would say, do your homework, do your research. If you want to do something like this, put yourself in a financial situation where you can do what I've done. And, I have been able for almost a year now. April will be a year that I was able to take off to kind of build this out. So, that would be my biggest thing. And do not let fear stop you. It's a liar. Fear is a liar. And if there's something that you feel like you are called to do, my gosh, go do it. Go do it. Don't waste time thinking about it.
Great advice, Angie, by the way. And you and I are going to be talking because I think I'm going to get the ball rolling and looking for some properties over there myself. So,
I love it.
Well, Angie, thanks again for being on the show. This is a blast. Again, this is something I'm passionate about too, especially, Italy being of Italian descent, and
Yeah.
I'm this close to getting my Italian citizenship, so I'm fired
I'm
up.
so happy for
We're
you.
definitely
You're steps ahead of me, but happy to help you.
well. Yeah, so I think we can help each other, right? I mean, it should be a good relationship
Yeah,
here. So,
agree.
well, Angie, again, thanks for being on the show, and that's a wrap for another edition of the Business Brains and the Bottom Line podcast. Paul Delegro signing off. Until next time.